What up, guys, and welcome back to Thomas Reacts here on the 360 experience with myself, Thomas Maba. So today I want us to look at the Democratic Alliance, man, because when people talk about the Democratic Alliance, there's one question that keeps popping up. Is South Africa ready for a white president? Are we ready to have a white president in South Africa in 2024? What are your thoughts on that, guys? Do you think that South Africa is ready to have a white president? And do you think that it's even possible right now for South Africa to elect a white president into power? Do you think that our politicians, you know how our politicians are, do you think that they will ever allow a situation where we'll see a white president in power? What are your thoughts, guys? Please tell me what you think.
Now, in a country so as obsessed as South Africa is, for good reason, with identity politics, do you think it's the right move for the DA to, certainly amongst the leadership, to not be black in a country, as we've seen in the recent national census, 80% black country? Do you think South Africa is ready, black South Africans are ready for a white president?
That is such a race essentialist question that it has no space in the DA's frame of reference anymore. It used to, but we are now committed to choosing the very best person that we can for the various roles. We have a black candidate for Premier in Gauteng. His name is Solly Masimanga, but he's not there because he's black. And I think he would feel insulted if someone said to him, we picked him because he's black. Chris Papas is in Umgeni, not because he's white, but because he was the best candidate we had for that particular job. People who are not getting water, who are not getting electricity, who are not getting sewage removal, who can't drive on their roads, are not worried about whether the person who's filling the potholes is black or white. They want the potholes removed, and that is the issue. We have a black premier candidate, we have a brown premier candidate, we have a white premier candidate. And you know what? They were all chosen because they were the best applicants for their particular position.
Guys, this is the reason why I think the DA is going to lose in 2024, because the DA, they want to live in this... I don't know how can I put it, man. The DA, they want to live in this ideal world where South Africans don't care about the race. But South Africans have proven it that they care about the race. Right now, don't you think that South Africans would have elected Helen Zille to be the president of South Africa if they really didn't care about the race? Because how many years has Helen Zille ran after the ANC? But she never became the president of this country. And do you think that race had nothing to play with that? South Africans are comfortable with voting for the African National Congress despite what the ANC is doing. So they care about the race. Whether the Democratic Alliance doesn't want to admit that, but the fact is that South Africans care about the race. And it's easy to distract South Africans from voting for a white president. This is why I think South Africans are not ready for a white president, because South Africans are easily gaslighted. Right now, guys, like I've already said, that going to 2024, you're going to see how the media is going to play out. You're going to see the content that is going to be played on national television. What I'm talking about all of those apartheid documentaries. I'm talking about the apartheid movies, your Sarafinas and the likes. And before you even know it, black people in this country will be talking about how bad white people are. So don't think that South Africans, especially average South Africans, are going to vote for a white president after they've seen what white people have did to black people in Sarafina. And this is a trick that has been played throughout the years. And the ANC, they know how to play this trick so well. They've used it against Helen Zille time and time again. There's a reason why parties who have white leaders, they don't actually grow as much in South Africa. You can grow, but until a certain extent, because in this country, people still care about the race. Man, I would also like to live in a country where people don't care about the race, man. It will be amazing. Just imagine if we could live in a country where we could just elect someone on merit, but that's not how South Africans voters are, especially average voters are. Because you have to understand that average voters, man, they watch television. They are hardly on the internet, because most of them, they can't even afford the internet. So they are not on the internet. They are not as open-minded as we would like them to be. Most of these people, they still rely on the mainstream media for the information. They still watch the television. This is why every time before the elections are held, you will see these movies pop up. You will see these documentaries pop up. You will see Nelson Mandela. You will see F.W. de Klerk. That's why you will always see that. It's because they know that average South Africans, man, they cannot afford the internet. Average South Africans are not as open-minded as they would like them to be. So I think the DA right now, as much as Helen Zille might, I'm not disagreeing with everything that Helen Zille is saying. I agree with what Helen Zille is saying. But I don't think that Helen Zille understands the kind of situation that South Africa is in. And she's the first person that should understand how South African voters are. So are you guys honestly telling me that Helen Zille are you telling me that the Democratic Alliance honestly believe that John Steenhuisen is the guy to take the Democratic Alliance to victory? Are you telling me that Helen Zille and the DA as a whole, they honestly believe that John Steenhuisen will be the president in 2024? Do you believe that Steenhuisen is popular in South Africa? Do you think that South Africans are going to be comfortable with voting for John Steenhuisen? I'm talking about average South Africans. I mean, guys, like, even if you look at the popularity, man, of John Steenhuisen was never as popular as Helen Zille, man. Helen Zille was the one person who actually had a chance of actually winning the presidency in South Africa. After Helen Zille, man, the DA has been going down. Ever since the Helen Zille was out of the way, like, the DA has been going down. Because she knew how to play the South Africans, man. Helen Zille knew how to play average South Africans. Helen Zille was accepted in black communities because she knew what to do. But you look at John Steenhuisen right now. John Steenhuisen is detached from black communities. And these communities are the majority of voters. I don't know. Like, guys, do you honestly believe that John Steenhuisen right now is in the country? Like, people are ready to have John Steenhuisen as the president of the country.
Well, it would be great if your provincial candidate would agree to come and sit with me on the State of the Nation. You could then put his case forward and we could give him a platform. So let's just hope. We live in eternal hope that Solly Msimanga would accept our invitation and come and speak to us on the State of the Nation and tell us just why he should get the job and pass on the message that invitation still stands. So looking ahead, you saying that people don't really mind what their representative looks like as long as their services are being delivered, but yet what happens on polling day? They drive over the potholed roads, arrive at the polling station, and then forget.
I mean, like, average South Africans, they don't care about service delivery. This is why I say that if political parties was to campaign on service delivery, I mean, average South Africans, they don't care about service delivery. They have proven it that they don't care about service delivery. Because average South Africans have been voting for the ANC throughout the years. Despite the lack of service delivery, despite everything that is happening right now. Everything that is happening right now in South Africa, it has been happening 5 years back, 10 years back. What we are witnessing right now in South Africa, it is not new. The issue of unemployment rate, it is not new. The crumbling infrastructure, it is not new. The collapsed healthcare, it is not new. The terrible education system, it is not new. All of these problems that we are complaining about today in 2023 have been there for years. And South Africa have been voting for the African National Congress. So you honestly think that South Africans don't care about the color of their representatives? They care, man. Average South Africans, they care. They care. This is why the race card will always work. Well, I don't know until when, but the race card in South Africa will always work. This is why right now you will see politicians, they are doing everything they can to play this race card. Even Gayton Mackenzie, who would have thought that Gayton Mackenzie would be out here playing the race card? Gayton Mackenzie is telling the colored communities that no, the ANC government is taking care of black people. They've forgotten about you. What kind of a lie is that? Gayton Mackenzie is not telling the colored communities that the ANC government is saving no one. Because that is the fact right now. The ANC government is saving no one. Everyone is mad with the ANC. Black people are mad at the ANC. Colors are mad at the ANC. The Indians are mad at the ANC. The Afrikaners are mad at the ANC. The white people are mad at the ANC. All of people in South Africa are mad at the ANC. Why? Because the ANC, they are only saving themselves. They are not saving the citizens of this country. But Gayton Mackenzie goes around telling people that the ANC government serves the black communities. How? How, when black people are affected by all of these problems, most of these problems that are here in South Africa today, people who take the knock are black people. People who suffer the most are black people in this country. Why? Because black people are a majority in this country, but they still vote for the African National Congress. It should tell you something. It should tell you something. And guys, we really have to be honest, man. You know, when Musumemane took the DA from 22 to 20, they called him a failed experiment. But you look at John Steenhuisen, man. You look at the likability of the guy. It is not only about the policies. This is one mistake that other political parties are making. They think South Africans are voting with the policies. South Africans are not voting with the policies. They don't. They don't care how good your policies are. It is always about who you are you associated with. Who are you associated with? The DA has failed to deal with this whole thing of race. And now it's coming to bite them. It is easy, man, to make a case against the DA, man. Like, guys, what I'm saying right now, I've said it before. It's easy to make the case against the DA, especially if you're a politician, especially if you are a race-baiting politician. It's easy. It's easy. You don't even have to make a compelling argument against the DA. You just have to tell the people, man, that the DA is racist. The DA is kicking out the black people there. The leadership of the DA, the national leadership of the DA is white. That is the only thing that you have to say. And before you know it, people will say, like, no, man, this white administration is going to bring back apartheid. It is not hard to make a case against the DA. Because like, for some reason, people see the DA as a white racist party and they haven't dealt with that. They don't want to deal with that. They haven't dealt with that. And going into 2024, man, the DA is fighting for its existence. I don't think the DA understands that they are fighting for their existence. There's a pretty good chance that after 2024, the DA will be the third largest party in the country. The DA, it might be the third largest party in the country after 2024. So I don't think they understand the gravity, man, of the situation. Musumemane, man, taking the DA from 22 to 20, man, he actually saved that party. He saved that party. I honestly don't believe, guys, I honestly don't believe that John Steenhuisen is the perfect guy to take the DA to the victory, man. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I don't believe so. I don't believe that the majority of black people in this country are ready to vote for John Steenhuisen, man. They voted for Musumemane. As much as Musumemane got less than Helen Zille's legendary 22%, but a lot of black people, they voted for Musumemane. And do you think that the DA didn't lose any votes when they kicked out Maimane or when Maimane left the party? You think that the DA didn't lose a lot of black votes when Musumemane left the party? They did. And the worst part, they called the guy a failed experiment. And people said that you guys are racist. Musumemane literally saved your party. And right now you are calling him a failed experiment. The DA might witness a bloodbath, man, in 2024. And I don't think they are ready, man. I don't think they are ready because they are living in this world where everything is perfect. They are living in this world where people, South African people, don't think about the race of their representatives. They care about the race of their representatives. Average South Africans care. They care. I don't think the DA, man, understands, man. They don't.
us on the State of the Nation and tell us just why he should get the job, and pass on the message that the invitation still stands. So looking ahead, you saying that people don't really mind what their representative looks like as long as their services are being delivered, but yet what happens on polling day? They drive over the potholed roads, arrive at the polling station, and then forget?
No, they don't vote. That's the issue.
No, he's talking about people who are voting. He's talking about the voters. Don't talk about the ones who don't vote. He's talking about the voters. The people who are participating in elections. Don't talk about people who don't participate in elections. He's talking about people who are participating in elections, that they are driving on the potholes. They can see how bad the infrastructure is. They know how bad things are in South Africa. Their children are not working. He's talking about the voters, man.
So looking ahead, you saying that people don't really mind what their representative looks like as long as their services are being delivered, but yet what happens on polling day? They drive over the potholed roads, arrive at the polling station, and then forget?
No, they don't vote. That's the issue. I mean, 27 million people didn't vote in the last election. 5 million people voted for the ANC.
And if people don't vote, man, if the people don't vote, whose fault is it that people are not voting? Whose fault is it? Because the ANC voters are voting. The ANC voters are voting. They got like 10 million votes last elections. The ANC voters are there. As much as you would like to say that maybe they don't come as much, but they are there. They are voting. And opposition parties, man, opposition parties are failing to convince people to go to the polls. They are failing hard. They are failing to convince people who didn't participate in elections to participate in elections. They are failing to encourage people to take part in our elections. It is their fault. The ANC has their base, man. The ANC will always have its base, even in 2024. Don't think that in 2024 people will go there simply saying that no, we are done with the ANC. Man, the ANC voters are going to be out there. They're going to fight for the African National Congress. You hear what the African National Congress is saying. Judge us based on what we have done since 1994. Don't judge us based on these Ramaphosa's years. Judge us on what we have done for you since 1994. If you don't think that message is going to resonate to the poor communities who are depending on SASSA grants, then you are mistaken. The ANC right now is fighting for its life. That's why they are blaming apartheid. That's why they are reminding the people that we've built you houses. Today you have electricity in your homes. It's because of the ANC. You have the water in your home. It's because of the ANC government. They are reminding people of these things. They are telling them that, guys, we are taking care of you. We are giving you money to exist to start with. We are giving you the money, 350, to sit at home and do nothing. You have children. We are taking care of your children. You have grandparents. We are taking care of your grandparents. You have disabled relatives. We are taking care of them. And the ANC is reminding people of all of these things. And you think that in 2024, people are not going to go out there frustrated, knowing exactly that their grants might be taken away. Because that is what they are saying. They don't care that they don't care that opposition parties are saying that the grants will always be there. The ANC doesn't care about that. It doesn't. They will tell their communities that, man, these guys are going to take away your grants. That's why they are saying there is no alternative. The ANC is saying to the people, there is no alternative. If you vote for all of these people, man, especially the DA is going to take away your grants. So the opposition parties, man, are failing, man. The opposition parties are failing to encourage people to go to the polls. Many people in South Africa, they don't vote. And the opposition parties are failing to capitalize on the fact that millions and millions of South Africans are not interested in anything that has to do with our elections. They are failing. They are failing. And they don't want to admit this. Yes, you can say that people are not voting. People don't care about the elections. If you don't work hard enough to convince those people to go to the polls, people don't care about the elections. They don't.
I hope that Solly and Simanga would accept our invitation and come and speak to us on the State of the Nation and tell us just why he should get the job and pass on the message that the invitation still stands. So looking ahead, you saying that people don't really mind what their representative looks like as long as their services are being delivered, but yet what happens on polling day? They drive over the potholed roads, arrive at the polling station, and then forget?
No, they don't vote. That's the issue. I mean, 27 million people didn't vote in the last election. 5 million people voted for the ANC.
10.
Now, that 5 million, what's it going to take for those people to stop voting for the ANC? Clearly, they're not voting in their own best interests, but it seems to almost be impossible to get the message that there's a better way to do things. What do you think? Why do you think that bind is so tight?
It's a question that has dogged the transition to democracy in many parts of the world, and most particularly in Africa. It's a truism, but Barack Obama, as a black man, or a biracial man, could be elected president in America, but he would never have been elected president in his father's country, which is Kenya, because he comes from a minority ethnic group. It's a big challenge.
Yeah.
But why Mike Shem is not asking here, like, you guys are failing to convince the people to go to the polls? He's been sensitive about this. But he's trying to ask you, like, why is the Democratic Alliance failing to convince people to go to the polls? That is the question. That is the question, man. Some of these interviewers, man, are like... Some of these guys are like... It's insane how these guys are. Ask the question, man. Stop tiptoeing around. Ask the question. Hold her feet to the fire. Are you simply going to allow Helen Zille to say that people don't vote and that's it? What about her party failing to convince millions and millions of people to go to the polls and vote? What about the DA failing to convince people, millions and millions of people, to go to the polls and vote? That is the question, man, that you should ask Helen Zille, man. Stop tiptoeing around.
Yes, and this isn't like...
This is the reason why some of these platforms are unwatchable. They are unwatchable, and they are on YouTube, but they are unwatchable. People started platforms on YouTube because they wanted to say what they wanted to say. We didn't start platforms on YouTube because we wanted to be sensitive with politicians. We opened up these platforms so that we can say whatever that is needed to say. We know that people in the mainstream media, on the national television, they can't say whatever they want to say. But these guys are bringing the same tendencies here.
Britain, where Rishi Sunak can become Prime Minister.
Exactly.
So, Ellen, let's look outside. South Africa is rapidly heading down. You mentioned liberal democracies, and in the past that was clear to define, especially if one goes back to the 90s. Just looking globally, the world seems to be in quite a sort of an interesting space. Do you think that...
Yeah, South Africans are not voting because people generally all across the world are not voting. Man, I don't want to hear anything more from this guy and Helen Zille, guys. What are your thoughts, man? What are your thoughts on this conversation? What are your thoughts? Guys, please tell me what you think on the comment section, man. Don't forget to hit that like button. The most important part is subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.